4 years after the launch of the Nano satellite in 2019, the Nepal Academy of Science and Technology has made preparations to launch Dahal and Munal named satellites with the support of the Nepal Academy of Geo and Space Science. While Dahal was developed by Nepali scientists, Munal was prepared by students of community schools. Good evening, I'm Chitrakar and these are the headlines of the hour. Final rites of Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal's spouse Sita Dahal performed at Pashupati Arighat by two daughters and Prime Minister Dahal. Most political programs previously slated for today postponed following the death of Prime Minister's spouse. Meetings of Nepali Congress Central Committee, Socialist Forum and National Assembly pushed. China promises robust response to any NATO expansion in Asia. Beijing rejects NATO concern over its stated ambitions. And Shailung Bagdhunga secured their first win in the men's category of the Prime Minister Cup NVA Volleyball Club Championship. Dahal Milan defeated in 5 sets. Final rites of Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal's spouse and advisor of CPN Mao's Centre Sita Dahal has been performed with state honour at the Pashupati Arighat today. Prime Minister and CPN Mao's Centre chairperson Dahal and his daughters Renu and Ganga performed her final rites. Prior to that, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Defence Purna Bahadur Khadka had laid the national flag on Dahal's body. Senior political leaders of several parties, ministers of the government, high-ranking officials, representatives of diplomatic missions and a large number of public had reached the Arighat to pay their tributes to Dahal. 69-year-old Dahal had passed away at 8:33 a.m. earlier this morning while undergoing treatment at Norvik Hospital in Kathmandu. Her body was kept at the CPN Mao Centre Party office in Paris Tada from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. for tributes. Prime Minister Dahal's spouse was suffering from Parkinson's and high blood pressure, among other diseases, for a long period of time. Meanwhile, issuing a condolence note, CPN Mao Centre has said that Dahal's death was a massive loss for the party, public and the nation. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has also shared his condolences on Dahal's death. Most political programs previously scheduled for today have been postponed following the death of Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal's spouse, Sita Dahal. Largest party of the House of Representatives and the ruling coalition, Nepali Congress, has postponed its Central Committee meeting. The Central Committee meeting, which had not been held for around 1 year, was slated for 1 p.m. today. According to Nepali Congress Central Member Pradeep Paudel, the meeting has been pushed for the 18th of July. The meeting of the Socialist Forum scheduled for today has also been rescheduled. The National Assembly meeting, which was also slated for today, has been rescheduled for 10 a.m. tomorrow. Today's meeting of the parliamentary thematic committees were also pushed for a later date. A demonstration was held today in front of the office of the Kathmandu Metropolis demanding appropriate management of small shopkeepers and vendors. The demonstration was held under the campaign Enough is Enough against what they said was unnecessary torture to small shopkeepers and vendors in the capital by the city police. The demonstrators have demanded the authority to ensure security to small vendors, guarantee for their right to live and human rights. They have alleged the metropolis for failing to manage small vendors and their products and seizing their items. More than a dozen industries in the Sunsari-Morang corridor have been inundated because of incessant rainfall since last night. Flood in the Tengra River, which flows through Itahari, has inundated industries in the Khanar and Sonpur areas of Sunsari under the industrial corridor. The river has also been blocked because of small bridges built in several places. According to District Police Office Sunsari, several other parts of Duhabi and Inarwa, among others of Sunsari, have also been flooded. A few schools have been closed as they have been submerged because of incessant rainfall. Police have arrested Ayush Phetwal of Morang, who had beaten a cyclist in Biratnagar. On the night of the 5th of July, Phetwal had stepped out of a car and beaten Pawan Shah before throwing him on the side of the road. Police has arrested Phetwal on the basis of evidences from CCTV footage. According to police, attempt to murder case has been filed against Phetwal for beating Shah. The CCTV footage where Phetwal beats Shah has also gone viral in social media platforms. Two other individuals involved in the incident, Kushal Phetwal and Roshan Karki of Terathum, are at large, while police is still looking for them. Meanwhile, Pawan Shah has returned home after receiving treatment. A Bailey bridge has been constructed over the Indravati River after the motorable bridge was swept away by the flood in the Melamchi River. Local residents of Helambu and Melamchi can now travel to headquarters Chautara through Indravati Rural Municipality following the construction of the 18-ton capacity 68-meter-long bridge. Floods had swept away more than half a dozen concrete bridges in the Melamchi and Indravati corridor 2 years ago. The government had allocated 4 million rupees for the construction of the bridge in the ongoing fiscal year. An incident has come to light where a police constable was tied with rope and tortured in Siraha. A video where Police Inspector Hemanta Rai is seen torturing Police Constable Anu Raya has been made public. The Security Department has held a meeting to discuss the issue. It has been said that Police Constable Raya was made to work overtime under the command of Police Inspector Rai, while Raya had expressed his grievances with the police head constable. The police head constable had reported it to Inspector Rai, which had caused heated discussion between Rai and Constable Raya. In the meantime, the family of Constable Raya has said that Constable Raya's hands and legs were tied and was tortured by Inspector Rai. Land and Water Resources Management Office has distributed 90,000 saplings of grass to farmers in the Dhankuta and Terathum. Saplings of grass, coffee, avocado and other plants, including herbs, have been distributed for free with the objective of conserving soil and water resources. According to the office, the program was initiated to promote plantation to curb the impact of deforestation, soil erosion and ill-planned roads. Time now for our segment, Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
Here's the question: what should be done to put an end to the use of antibiotics without any consultation with doctors? The options are A. Awareness among pharmacies, B. Awareness among consumers, and C. Intensify monitoring. Voting is on. Type any WS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Time now for international update. China has promised of robust response to any NATO expansion in Asia as it rejects NATO concern over its stated ambitions, criticizes presence of Australia, Japan, New Zealand and South Korea at summit. Beijing has reacted angrily to a NATO communique portraying China as a major challenge to the group's interest and security. In a strongly worded communique issued halfway through their two-day summit in the Lithuanian capital of Vilnius, NATO leaders said the People's Republic of China challenged the alliance's interest, security and values with its stated ambitions and coercive policies. The NATO declaration also said China and Russia were involved in a deepening strategic partnership and that the two countries were involved in mutually reinforcing attempts to undercut the rules-based international order. The leaders urged China to play a constructive role as one of 5 permanent veto-holding members of the United Nations Security Council and condemn Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine. Leaders attending the two-day summit also include Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida, New Zealand Prime Minister Chris Hipkins and South Korean President Yoon Suk Yeol, among amid concerns about rising tension in the region over issues from China to North Korea, which today tested a suspected long-range ballistic missile. In May, Kishida stressed Japan had no plans to become a NATO member after the alliance said it was planning to open a Tokyo liaison office, its first in the Asian region. The four countries, which have also shown support for Ukraine through sanctions and providing military support, were also invited to last year's NATO summit in Madrid. In the statement, the Chinese mission said Beijing opposed NATO's eastward movement into the Asia-Pacific region and warned any act that jeopardizes China's legitimate rights and interests will be met with a resolute response. Severe landslides and flash floods triggered by torrential rain in the Indian northern state of Himachal Pradesh caused massive damage to public infrastructures, rendering tourists stranded in the region on Tuesday. Several major roads and highways in Himachal Pradesh were closed after large portions were swept away in floods or blocked by landslides. At least 72 people have died in floods and landslides in Himachal Pradesh since 26th of June, according to reports from authorities and local media. State Chief Sukhvinder Singh Sukhu visited flood-affected residents in Kullu on Tuesday, saying that authorities were evacuating tourists from several areas and that all roads would be reopened. India's annual monsoon, the lifeblood of India's $3 trillion economy, delivers much-needed water to farms and restocks reservoirs and aquifers. While it also brings relief from the worst of the summer heat, excessive rainfall causes problems like floods, landslides, and waterborne diseases. Saudi Arabia became the 51st country to sign ASEAN's Treaty of Amity and Cooperation today, a document that commits signatories to values including cooperation, international law, peace, and stability. The signing ceremony was held on the sidelines of the annual gathering of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations Foreign Ministers in Jakarta. ASEAN Chair Indonesia's Foreign Minister Retno Marsudi welcomed the kingdom, represented by Saudi Arabia's Foreign Minister Prince Faisal bin Farhan, on behalf of the 10-member bloc following the signing. The signing ceremony and other ASEAN Foreign Minister meetings come ahead of Friday's East Asia Summit and the ASEAN Regional Forum, with top diplomats of the United States, Russia, and China among those attending. Indonesia, China, and Russia held a trilateral meeting today on the sidelines of the Association of South Asian Nations ASEAN Foreign Ministers meeting in Jakarta. A statement released by Indonesia's Foreign Ministry regarding the meeting said the nations were upholding international laws and all values and principles of the UN Charter. Indonesian Foreign Minister Retno Marsudi also held separate meetings with China's top diplomat Wang Yi and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and their delegations. The meetings come ahead of Friday's East Asia Summit and the ASEAN Regional Forum, with top diplomats of the United States, Russia, and China among those attending. More than 130,000 Palestinian boys and girls in Gaza have joined summer camps run by United Nations to give them a break from the stress of living in a strip of land that is under an economic blockade and often embroiled in conflict with Israel. The Palestinian children, including those with disabilities, will over 4 weeks participate in a series of activities including greening, recycling, sports, drawing, handicrafts and language learning, the agency said. The United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees in the Near East said a recent agency study found that 38% of children in Gaza showed symptoms of functional impairment affecting their daily lives. UNRWA runs 284 schools in Gaza, serving at least 290,000 students. Palestinians have lived through several wars with Israel since 2008. including 5 days of fighting in May, which have made healing almost impossible as the causes remain unchanged, say local and international experts. They put the number of children needing mental health help at nearly a quarter of the enclave's 2.3 million population that lives under a crippling blockade enforced by Israel and Egypt, which both control and restrict the Gaza Strip's borders. A Jordanian application assists farmers in managing their crops with the aim of helping them work towards economically and socially sustainable agriculture across the country. To support the digitization process of agricultural services in Jordan, the National Agricultural Research Center of Jordan, in collaboration with the Food and Agriculture Organization FAO, introduced MA AI Muzare NARC, which translates to with the farmer to farmers, providing them with tips for animal husbandry, farming practices, weather and crop calendars. According to the World Bank, Jordan is considered one of the most water-scarce countries in the world and is grappling with a severe water crisis with only 97 m3 of available water per capita per year. Over the past decade, population growth, the influx of refugees and climate change have worsened the country's water crisis. NATO states have said Ukraine can join the military alliance when allies agree and conditions are met after President Volodymyr Zelensky criticized the absurd delay to accession. In a communique, NATO said it recognized the need to move faster but would not be drawn on the time frame. Earlier, Zelensky said there seemed to be no readiness to invite Ukraine to NATO or make it a member. He is now in the Lithuanian capital, Vilnius, where summit is taking place. Kyiv accepts it cannot join NATO while it is at war with Russia, but wants to join as soon as possible after fighting ends. But Zelensky said that the lack of an agreed time frame meant his country's eventual membership could become a bargaining chip. NATO might not have said when and how Ukraine might join the alliance, but diplomats emphasized that they had set out a clearer path to membership and the on-Eros application process that had been shortened significantly. Diplomats also highlighted the creation of a new NATO-Ukraine Council meeting today for the first time, which will give Kyiv the right to summon meetings of the whole alliance. But the decision to give no sense of timescale will be seen as a setback for Ukraine. Even though such detail was always unlikely, Zelensky's decision to say the absence of a timetable was absurd only emphasized his diplomatic failure. Some member states fear near automatic membership of Ukraine could give Russia an incentive to both escalate and prolong the war. The focus now will move to what long-term security guarantees NATO members will promise Ukraine as an alternative to early membership. Time now for sports update.
Sports news.
Shailung Bagdhunga have secured their first win in the men's category of the Prime Minister Cup NBA National Club Volleyball League tournament. In the competitive match played today, Shailung secured an intensive 5-set win over Dawali Milan. Shailung won the first set of the match played at the National Sports Council's covered hall in Tripureshwar 25-19. Dawali came back in the second set to win 25-14 and edged the third set 25-22. However, Shailung won the fourth set 25-21 before coming back from behind in the decisive fifth set to win 15-13. Both teams have already crashed out from the race for the tournament final, while Dawali have yet to secure a win. African nation Zambia have reached New Zealand for the upcoming FIFA Women's World Cup. Zambia will be focusing resolutely on the football in their first appearance at the Women's World Cup, Captain Barbara Banda said on the squad's arrival in New Zealand. Allegations of sexual abuse in the Zambian women's national team setup surfaced on social media last year and are the subject of investigations by the country's FA and FIFA. Coach Bruce Mwape offered a curt no comment when asked about the allegations, and forward Banda said the players had their minds firmly on their tournament opener against former world champions Japan on July 22. Zambia are ranked 77th in the world but will fancy springing a surprise or two at the World Cup after drawing 3-all with Switzerland and beating twice world champions Germany 3-2 in friendlies over the last couple of weeks. Zambia are placed in Group C alongside Japan, Costa Rica and Spain. And before wrapping up, here's a look at the top stories once again. Final rites of Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal's spouse Sita Dahal performed at Pashupati Aare Ghat by two daughters and Prime Minister Dahal. Most political programs previously slated for today postponed following the death of Prime Minister's spouse. Meetings of Nepali Congress Central Committee, Socialist Forum and National Assembly pushed. China promises robust response to any NATO expansion in Asia. Beijing rejects NATO concern over its stated ambitions. And Shailung Bagthunga secure their first win in the men's category of the Prime Minister Cup NBA Volleyball Club Championship. Dawali Milan defeated in 5 sets. That's all for the moment. Our next English bulletin will be at 10:30 tonight. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.